On this week's show, we're going to recap eBay's summer seller check-in and a bunch of other announcements from eBay. We've got news from Canada Post, Poshmark, and much, much more. What is up, Galaxians? Welcome to episode number 296 of the Galaxy CDs, Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. My name is Ryan, and I'm going to be your host as we go through a mess of reselling news. I've got my coffee this morning. I hope you've got yours because we have got a massive amount of stuff to cover, including announcements in and outside of eBay's summer seller check-in, some things going on up in Canada that you'll want to know about, some updates from Poshmark, and much, much more. At the back end of the show, there will be a What Sold recap, which is pretty hefty, 14 or 15 items in that. So this is going to be one of the longer episodes we've done here in a while. So settle in and let's get started with some reselling news.
News updates.
We are going to start with the eBay Summer Seller Check-In. I told you last week that I and Liz over at Value Added Resource would both be attending so that you didn't have to. And here we're going to recap pretty much everything of note from that. It was, to be fair, I've attended now maybe half a dozen of these. And I think I said after the last one that I was going to stop attending them because I hadn't really gotten anything of any value out of them. Most of what they were covering was stuff that had already been announced or that was already in place, and it just wasn't super valuable. So I thought I would give it one more shot. And to be fair, this one was actually pretty decent. They announced a bunch of interesting stuff, some of which is not going to live up to the hype, to be fair. And we'll get into that here in a minute. But it was probably one of the more productive check-ins that I have attended in the 2+ years now that I've been attending them. So kudos to eBay for at least putting together a much better presentation this time. Starting up, they dropped their seller update, which introduced numerous new things, including a certified open box program, AI social media video tools, and messaging translations, and more. That was all announced as part of the seller news update, which came out right around the same time as the check-in. So kind of for those that weren't going to attend the check-in or listen to this podcast, gave you another resource to go to find out what was going on. First up, eBay launching certified open box for electronics and home categories. They said, we're pleased to introduce the Certified Open Box program designed to enhance your open box listings within electronics and home. Listings in eligible categories will now automatically display the Certified Open Box badge when they meet key service standards and offer free shipping and free returns. So a pretty healthy list of things that you need to do in order to qualify to participate in this program, but it is going to be open apparently to all who do qualify and will take place automatically, which is good. This badge communicates premium quality and can help boost buyer confidence, helping your items stand out and elevating your brand presence on eBay. Each certified open box item comes with a 1-year warranty, serviced by all state protection plans, adding even more value and peace of mind for your customers. Then they give an example of some categories that include cell phones, smartwatches, laptops, vacuum cleaners, appliances, headphones, tablets, tools, and video game consoles. To qualify for the program, your seller level needs to be ASTD ETRS. Make sure your listings fall into the eligible categories described above. Have the condition set to open box. Again, offer free delivery. Provide at least 30-day free returns. Your items must also meet the following, or your listings rather, must also meet the following service metrics. Item not as described, rate below 4%. Item not received, rate below 1%. And a minimum of 25 open box transactions every 3 months. So that's kind of a cool program if you sell in those categories and you do all of those things. I don't know if you're a seller of electronics, open box electronics, do you offer free 30-day returns? And is that something that you would consider to be able to participate in this program? Let me know in the comments down below. They also introduced a new generative AI tool that will turn your product images into video for social sharing. Elevate I'm going to read this first and then I'll give you my take on it. Elevate engagement with video content. Not a video expert. You can still make dynamic video content to boost your engagement and listing visibility. Starting this April, transform your listing photos into professional quality videos in minutes using eBay AI. I think this was rolled out last month in a limited way and seems to now be available pretty much for everyone. Simply upload your photos and with the click of a button, our new tool will create professional quality content to help you showcase your listings via social media. After you view your video, upload it to TikTok or YouTube directly from your eBay account. It's that simple. You can also create a kind of a photo version of this as well that you could upload to sites like Instagram and so on. I tried it. The video will not load as a reel to Instagram, at least not at this time. I was only able to send it to YouTube. There is an example of it on my YouTube channel if you want to go take a look at that. To be fair, it took 2 tries to get it to work at all. The first time, as it was trying to create the video, it failed. There's no audio that I can tell, so there's not even like any canned music to it. It's pretty straightforward. It's an interesting tool, but it's not providing anything super exciting in terms of the text that's generated in the video or the titling of it. It does attempt to provide a link to it, but if you upload it to a YouTube short, you may recall that YouTube Shorts currently does not allow for outside links, so the link doesn't work. To be fair, for as long as it took me to go through the process, wait for it to try to create a video and then fail, and then wait for it to try to create a video a second time, I probably could have created a more compelling video in Canva myself. So if you're the least bit competent with a program like Canva for creating small short form video, that's probably still a better way to go. If you're not and you just want to try this tool, it does a serviceable job of creating, I think mine was like 12 or 15 seconds long. It just says, something about one of my best listings. And then it kind of has some motion graphics that show pictures of the particular item. The other issue that I ran into was it supposedly allows you to upload multiple pictures. On the first attempt, it allowed me to do that. I went back later to try a second one, and for some reason, it would only accept the main photo. It didn't give me an option to continue adding additional photos, which was also somewhat limiting. So it's an interesting tool. Again, as I say on this show regularly, I wish they would focus more on getting some core functionality to work. But this, to the extent that you're willing to be patient with it, does provide a interesting option if you want to occasionally upload a product sample to YouTube or to TikTok or whatever. So interesting tool. If you've tried it, let me know what you think. Benefits to your business. They say this exciting generative AI video tool unlocks capabilities sellers like you have never had access to before. Create videos effortlessly. As I just said, that is not my experience. And the couple times I tried to use it, it was not effortless. It was simple, but it required a little bit of additional work because it just didn't work correctly. Increase your visibility. Get more eyes on your listing. Be on eBay by expanding your reach to YouTube and TikTok. That assumes that the video is going to get any views. Mine at last check had, I think, less than 100. So not necessarily going to get a bunch of eyes on it. Save time with AI innovations. It only takes up to 3 minutes to generate your video. That is true when it worked, but it didn't happen in 3 minutes because the first time it completely failed and I had to do it again. So the whole process probably took more than 10. To be fair, and which is why I said I could probably have downloaded images myself and created a quick mock-up in Canva and had something with a lot more interesting graphical content in that same amount of time. So your mileage may vary. I was not. I won't be using it again. How's that? Expand your reach on social media. Regularly share content to strengthen your brands. This tool is available in your Seller Hub. Once you get started, consider sharing your listings on social platforms to expand your reach and build brand recognition. So there you go. They are also announcing Some updates to messaging. There have been a lot of complaints about various things in the messaging tool, and they are still tweaking that. So we'll see what comes of it. But one of the things that's interesting is they are going to include very soon an option to have the message in different languages translated actually within the messaging experience. So there you go. That is a interesting option as well. There were some other things that they covered in the check-in that I'm going to refer to my little chicken scratch handwritten notes here. They did open by talking about the situation with tariffs, which obviously is top of mind for a lot of folks right now. The tariffs kind of a big deal. And this is probably more for sellers in the US shipping overseas where other countries are imposing tariffs on items for the United States. They pointed out that if you are participating in the eBay International Shipping Program, eBay is automatically handling all of those updates. So you don't have to do anything. They will, when they present the item to a customer in another country and they show the fees, they're saying that any potential duties, tariffs, and so on, as is always the case, will already be displayed in that pricing so that you don't have to do anything. So that's another reason to consider if you're not using eBay International Shipping, because they're going to handle all of the outbound tariff stuff for you. They also talked a lot about their attempts to continue to promote eBay to a wider audience. We're going to talk a little bit later about some interesting statistics about downloads of apps over the last quarter or so, but they keep trying to find new ways to get new users onto the app. They spent some considerable amount of time talking about their connection with F1, in particular with the McLaren team. They had a quick video from F1 driver Lando Norris, who was hyping buying auto parts on eBay. So it was really interesting, and I give them credit for making an effort to do that. They also talked about their participation in the recent Met Gala, and they showed some highlights from some of the influencers that they are working with to try to boost eBay's recognition kind of in the broader social media space. So again, kudos to them for at least putting forth the effort. Like I said, we'll talk a little bit later about what the result of that might be, but there you go. They talked about using AI again to enhance their Google ad appearance. Weren't super specific on what those changes might look like or what they were aiming to accomplish, but trying to make ads appear more engaging and or more relevant. So that's something to be on the lookout for. They also talked in some of the breakout sessions that I attended about more kind of best practices for your sales. If things are slow, what are the kinds of things that you can do to refresh old listings? One of the things that they did not mention was end sell similar, interestingly. So again, we've been talking about that over the last couple of weeks with the updates over at Poshmark. And that's something that they did not bring up, but they did talk about kind of the things that I, for better or worse, harp on this show quite regularly. Best practices include more photos, more details, more accuracy, use video when you can, and of course, they led with use promoted listings and or ads. So again, kudos to them for making some efforts to try to boost the recognition of the brand, maybe the hipness of the brand, to try to attract different markets. But again, we're going to get into that a little bit further here in a few moments. They also made an announcement. This is also from Liz. And again, all these articles that I'm referencing today will be linked in the show notes in the video description down below. So you can go check out the original source. Again, kudos to Liz at Value Added Resource for putting together most of this, and to the Steiners. I think I've got some e-commerce bites stuff here as well. eBay is hyping an Agentic AI experience that is rolling out now to what they call a limited number of users. This is an interesting one. They're supercharging personalized commerce and AI hype with the announcement of this new Agentic AI experience, which again is rolling out in limited fashion. The company revealed the new feature in a corporate blog post, saying it represents an important next step in eBay's AI-first customer experiences. I'm going to stop right there and get on my soapbox again. I commented, Liz posted this, a link to this article on her Facebook page. And my very first thought was this single sentence. An important next step in eBay's AI first customer experiences tells me everything I need to know about where eBay's head is at. This, and even if this is true, just from a PR, from a perception, from a marketing standpoint, for me and a guy just sitting in my basement, this should say eBay's customer first AI experience. If they truly value their customers, whether they be viewing their customers as buyers or those of us who are sellers, if they were truly a customer centric organization who wanted to utilize AI tools to enhance our experiences, that at least should be said in a customer first way. And they continue to talk always and forever about their technology, about their AI, about their algorithms, about their this, their that, from the tech centric standpoint. And I'm feel increasingly like that is missing the mark. You can again let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on that. But my initial reaction to this was, again, this tells me everything I need to know about where their head is at. This may be a terrific product offering. It may work exactly like they intend it to. It may actually indeed be beneficial for customers. But the notion that their whole path is AI first, not customer first, is a problem for me. Again, a guy sitting in my basement. Take that for what it's worth. Let's continue here. Seamlessly woven into your shopping journey, this intelligent agent delivers real-time, hyper-personalized product picks and expert guidance based on your shopping preferences as you explore our marketplace. Again, some people are probably not going to be thrilled with this because it clearly is trolling your data to find out what it is you're looking for. As a pure buyer, that may ultimately be helpful. But for those of us who are sellers who are constantly researching dozens or hundreds of items that are not all related to each other, a tool like this is going to make it much more difficult for us to find the things that we're looking for. I did see someone posted somewhere, and I'm not sure if it was related to this particular article or if it was in another. I read far too much stuff. But someone suggested that eBay create a search tool specifically for sellers that would not be connected to these kinds of algorithmic or AI search, so that we could get actual results of the very specific thing that we're looking for. I'm not a programmer. I don't know what the back end of that would look like or how difficult that would be to do. But as a seller tool, something beyond, say, the product research tool, which is currently available. But if there was another search tool that you could use beyond that, that targeted specifically that without triggering this kind of algorithm, that would be helpful. I don't know, maybe the eBay product research tool serves that purpose now and is not connected to the main search. I don't know. eBay, if you're listening, let me know in the comments. Does that tool actually do what we're describing there? Anyway, get ready to shop smarter. Your next favorite find awaits. From pinpointing the perfect gift for your best friend to assembling the ideal spring break wardrobe, our agent makes discovery effortless, fun, and uniquely tailored to you. We're pairing the Agentic AI with eBay's scale, infrastructure, decades of customer insights, again, our data, and product knowledge to streamline the experience. This, they say, marks a milestone in eBay's advancement of Agentic AI, which has evolved from simple chatbots to conversational and interactive agents that are equipped to understand, interact, and anticipate user needs. Such capabilities have the potential to enable us to lead the next generation of shopping and selling. Again, we'll be covering that here in a little bit, fueling marketplace growth and solidifying our position in, again, AI-powered e-commerce. They also provided a video showing a mocked-up example of what it would look like in the app. Again, link to this below if you want to go take a look. Press release also says the new experience is currently available only to a small percentage of U.S. customers and will become available to more users on a rolling basis. Let me know in the comments, A, what you think of said tool, and B, if you've seen it already, if you've had a chance to use it. Interesting news here eBay is moving their luxury watch authentication in-house. They continue to try to claw some of this stuff into their own use, into their own business, rather than using third party. They're moving their authentication service for luxury watches to their Munachi, if I said that right, New Jersey facility, as third-party partnership with Stoll & Co. appears to be phased out. When the authenticity guarantee for watches was launched back in 2020, eBay said they had partnered with leading industry experts whose services and capabilities have been thoroughly vetted, and that those independent experts were leaders in the industry, brand-certified watchmakers and technicians with years of experience using advanced technical equipment in a state-of-the-art facility. That just sounds like typical marketing fluff. Users, of course, eventually discovered that third-party partner was Stoll & Company, which had been handling watch authentication for about 4.5 years with, to be fair, mixed reviews and results. Users in the eBay community forum have often expressed frustration with the authentication experience from them, with many complaints about items being rejected for vague or erroneous reasons. Here's one that had been previously had great success with this program for both selling and buying until just recently sold an authentic watch, which, by the way, had been previously authenticated by an industry expert that was marked unable to be authenticated by Stoll & Company. The feedback for the rejection was vague and only, quote, unable to authenticate. That doesn't give you as a seller much guidance in what may or may not be wrong with it. The feedback in various collectors forums is also mixed, with some saying they received supposedly authenticated watches that were missing parts, and others saying that the authenticator misplaced the entire watch, leading to a very disappointing buying and selling experience. Yelp and Google reviews show concerning reports with items being damaged either during the authentication process or a result of improper packaging and shipping from Stoll & Company to the buyer, or other issues that buyers say call into question how knowledgeable and experienced their authenticators really are. Apparently, eBay has said enough is enough, and they are taking this in-house. They are currently looking for a manager for that program, so that will be going in-house. One of the things I talked about at the Summer Seller Check-In that we did not cover in that first recap is a new offer management experience that was going to be rolling out over the coming months. It started to roll out late last week or over the weekend. My first view of it was Saturday morning, and color me somewhat unimpressed. Although by the time of recording, some of the issues that I was having seem to have resolved themselves. They've introduced this new experience, but sellers warned to watch out for your default settings, which was the problem that I experienced. Seller-initiated offers are getting a major overhaul from eBay with the introduction of a new offer management experience. Sellers are noticing that the default offer settings have been changed without notice. That was my experience. I went in yesterday to do my normal morning offers, like I talk about pretty much every week on this show, and both of the toggles for automatically send offers and accept counter offers had been turned on by default. I've had those turned off for years. I turned those off. I sent my offers on my first wave. As I've talked about on the show previously, I do generally in the morning, I do 2 waves of offers. Anything that's at regular price, I send out offers for a 15% discount. Anything that's currently on sale, I then send out offers for an additional 10% discount. So I do my offers in the morning and then throughout the day in 2 waves. And the first wave I went to do, those toggles were turned on by default. I turned them off. I sent my offers. I went back in to do my second wave, and those toggles had been turned back on again. And I had to turn them off. And I was really concerned, and I posted on Liz's Facebook post about this, that was the new default, that every time you went in, those toggles were going to be turned on. Now, later in the day, I did go back in. That I had done on my desktop. I went back in while I was traveling yesterday on my mobile. Not while I was driving, to be clear. Went in on my mobile and the toggles were off. So I haven't checked this morning on the web version to see if that is now the case, that those toggles are off. But the fact that I had to turn them off twice was concerning to me. The updates were previewed in the summer seller check-in, and they said we'll be rolling out over the coming months, including long-awaited tools for managing and editing automated offers in bulk, which will be helpful for those who do automated offers, who maybe have them set up, but then they want to run a sale and want to turn off automated offers on maybe a particular category or a series of products. It has been very, very difficult to do that. Now they're going to give us the option to go in and do that in bulk, which is helpful. Senior Product Manager Evan Swanson showed sellers how the new bulk management feature will work, saying it is currently live in Seller Hub under the Marketing tab. So you can go check it out. Again, a pretty big graphic overhaul of this, which is in line with other updates they have made in terms of the user interface, which appears to more closely resemble what you see on mobile. It is a much cleaner interface. They do give you some options to see or not see some things as you work your way through the process. So all in, other than the little glitch with the offers change, and again, be aware of that. Make sure you look if you don't want to send automated offers to make sure those toggles are off when you send offers. Swanson gave the following example of a current challenge many sellers face with automated offers and how this new experience will help. And it's kind of what I just said there with the sale. You want to turn off offers. So I'm not going to read his thing because I just told you that. It will expand eventually to include non-automated offers as well sometime in June. The management page, he said, is just the beginning. eBay will soon be rolling out additionally analytics and reporting capability for offers to give sellers more actionable insights. So you'll be able to see, what kind of offers are working, what kind of take rate you're getting offers, what kind of take rate offers are getting for you, how many people are taking advantage of it, and so on. They'll have a dashboard view of all active offers. Those are SIOs and best offers. The performance metrics will show you how offers have performed in the past to inform your future campaigns. And they will have quick action buttons that will enable you to take action on offers to accept or decline offers from buyers or counter offers. We'll be continuing to improve this page over the coming months, so it's going to become your offers command center. We know the more responsive you can be to buyers, the more sales you'll make, and giving you more control over automation will allow you to be more successful. Again, those are words that are betrayed by the actions of automatically turning on offers and accept counter offers by default. As I say all the time on this channel, those sorts of things should be opt-in, not opt-out. They should not be turned on automatically. And once again, every time eBay makes a tweak or a change to any of these things, all of those things turn back on for some reason. Finally, Swanson said automated offer duration will be rolling out in June as well, allowing sellers to specify how long they want automation to stay live. That is different, unfortunately, from how long offers are valid for, which I know a lot of sellers are dismayed by the length of offers being available for whatever it is, 96 hours. But at least if you're sending out automated offers, you'll be able to limit how long that automated offer actually is repeatedly sent out to new people. We'll continue to have the settings in place so that when you send an offer, when you come back and next time, it'll be remembered. For example, if you selected a 1-month duration for your automation last time, when you come back, it'll already be filled out so that you can streamline your workflow. That last point about sticky settings, where the setting stays with whatever you last chose, is important, and sellers in the eBay community discussing this new offer management experience are concerned that it appears their previous choices not to enable automation and or allow counter offers are no longer sticky. Instead, eBay has defaulted, as I just said, those options to on for every new offer. Again, my experience was that happened twice to me, and then it did at least appear to go back to the settings that I had selected later in the morning. So word to the wise, just be cautious as you're sending offers. Make sure you look at those two toggles and make sure that they are set the way that you want them and that you're not automatically sending offers that you do not want to do. So let me know again in the comments what your opinions are of that. Again, nice graphical update, some nice features there. My only complaint again, is the fact that we have to opt out. And at least in my case, I had to opt out twice in order to make it actually take effect. This article over on E-commerce Bytes, you've probably seen this already on eBay. Sellers can now apply for the annual $10,000 grant to grow your business. eBay is giving away $10,000 grants again this year and other perks to 50 active sellers in the U.S. through its annual Up and Running program. Sellers can apply on the Hello Alice website. They talked about this a little bit during the Summer Seller Check-In. Interestingly, one of the things that they were talking about as they were presenting it was be as detailed as possible. Give us as much information as possible. But when you go into the actual application, when they ask you, like, how are you going to use this money? They say 2 sentences or less. How detailed can I be in 2 sentences? Unless it's going to be like a complete run-on sentence that ends up being a paragraph long. So I found that a little bit disingenuous. If you want me to be as detailed as possible, just let me say whatever it is I want to say. Don't tell me that I only have 2 sentences in which to convey that information. Anyway, moving on and explaining the grant program now in its 6th year, eBay said in partnership with Hello Alice, this initiative empowers eBay business sellers to stay up and running and grow with confidence. Whether you're looking to expand your product line, streamline operations, or invest in the tools needed to take your business to the next level, this grant is here to help. The 50 winning sellers in the United States will receive $10,000 in cash to invest in your business growth. If you follow Colorado Rewarn over on Instagram, she was one of the initial recipients of this grant. She's done a couple of promotional posts on this. She is a big believer in this program. I, for what it's worth, have applied every year. I have yet to be selected. Whatever. I don't need the 10 grand. It's fine. It's fine, eBay. Anyway, a $500 stipend to purchase essential technology from eBay Refurbished and access to eBay education and seller resources to help you scale efficiently. Sellers must apply by June 6th. eBay will email winning grant recipients in August. The same month, eBay will be celebrating its 30th anniversary at eBay Open. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. Amazon, interestingly, is also running a grants program, but for up to 15 small business customers rather than sellers. Existing Amazon business, small business customers based in the U.S. with annual revenues of $1 million or less and have made a purchase on Amazon Business within 12 months, preceding May 1st of this year, can apply for a grant. Applications close on May 23rd. So that's an interesting one. There is a video in this article from eBay promoting this grant program. Hello Alice actually has a ton of really great information on owning, operating a small business, on networking. It's a really interesting site. There's a really vibrant community over there. So even if you don't, as I have not, end up winning the grant, there's some useful information within Hello Alice that you could probably take advantage of if you were inclined to do that. Speaking of eBay Open 2025, the virtual and in-person 30th anniversary event is in Las Vegas from August 12th to the 14th. A lot of folks super excited about this. The eBay Open, shameless plug, as this is a meetup, this is as good a place as any to insert this. I was a guest on Mike Metco Meetups YouTube channel late last week. His channel is all about promoting local in-person meetups and YouTube hosts who do live shows where they invite sometimes guests and obviously all of you as viewers and or listeners to come in and just have conversation. This will be right in their wheelhouse. We had a real good conversation. I'll try to leave a link to that chat in the show notes in the video description below. Had a really nice time talking to Mike and to Mary. Thank you to them for inviting me on. They were on my show, you may recall. Gosh, what was that? 3-4 weeks ago. So, but this will be obviously right in their wheelhouse. eBay Open 2025 is officially coming to the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas from August 12th to 14th with both in-person and live streaming to celebrate their 30th anniversary. Big promo blurb here. Unfortunately, eBay has not given an exact date when registration will be available, simply telling attendees of the seller check-in to look for an email later this month with said registration information, once again leaving even less time for sellers to make their plans for the big event. At least now you've got the dates, so you can block those dates out if you're inclined to do that. eBay is also warning sellers not to make non-refundable hotel and airline purchases until you have a confirmed reservation for eBay Open, because the tickets are going to be very limited. They've not said how limited, how many people they expect to allow to attend. But if you're inclined to want to go, they are strongly telling you, do not make non-refundable reservations until you know you have a ticket. That suggests that the Open, while an in-person experience, may not be a return to its previous size, scope, and access. We'll have to wait and see how big the event actually is and how many people are able to go. But there you go. It's coming in August. Let me know in the comments down below if you intend to go or not. Poshmark is also announcing they're going to host Poshfest in San Jose, California from September 11th to 12th. Though, to be fair, this comes at a time when Poshmark is really feeling the wrath of some of their sellers for a variety of reasons. I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see what people have to say in an in-person event, given all the shenanigans over at Poshmark. But they have announced tickets to their annual Poshfest Sellers Conference are on sale now. The in-person event will take place in September from the 11th to the 12th at the San Jose McHenry Convention Center, of course, in San Jose. Access to 2 immersive days of hands-on workshops, insightful sessions, and inspiring panels featuring expert speakers from the Poshmark community and beyond. Networking, meet your fellow Poshers face to face. From casual icebreakers to mentorship moments and collaborative activities, there are plenty of ways to connect, share, and grow your community. That is something that I talked about on Mike's show, the Mike Metco Meetup Show, where those kind of casual conversations that you have that in an ordinary workplace might take place over coffee or whatever, where you might find inspiration or an idea outside of your normal road of travel, can be really beneficial to everyone involved. So that networking can be super important and super beneficial. So if you're a Poshmarker and interested, this is all coming very soon. Fuel up with provided breakfast and lunch each day. Hot merch, scoop up limited edition Poshfest swag, packed with exclusive merch and fun surprises. And there's a party. The Bay brings the vibes. Join us September 12th for the ultimate Posh party, an evening of music, drinks, and unforgettable moments. More details coming soon. General admission tickets for the 2-day event can be purchased for $319, which is a slight increase from last year's $299. Posh ambassadors, you get a discount, $279. While it is designed to be an in-person event, they will be broadcasting select sessions virtually for those who are unable to attend in person. Stay tuned for updates on that portion. Easy for me to say. Maybe I need a drink of my coffee. The annual conference, they continue, is typically where the company reveals new features and updates like last year's announcement of Smart List AI, Poshmark consignment, and more. They've tried to roll out, I guess, maybe some of these, what they viewed might be less popular updates in advance. Execs in attendance may, as I mentioned, face a tougher crowd this year after last year's fee shakeup and the recent introduction of the excessive listing removal policy that is receiving massive seller pushback due to suspensions and warnings that seem to be going out in error. We've talked about that over the last couple of weeks, so I will not belabor the point there. Poshmark sellers on Reddit express sticker shock at the ticket price. It's only $20 more than last year. I mean, $319 is no small amount of money to attend one of these. And I guess I would say you should only go at any price if you think that the value of attending would be more than the value that you're going to lose in your business by being away, the expense of the event, even notwithstanding. So they said they'd rather spend that money to source more inventory or on other experiences. And that's a fair cop. That has been my view on this. I did mention to a friend of mine yesterday, I probably need to plan to go to one of these events like the eBay Open and just write it off as a business expense and get out of the bat cave here for a couple of days. But it's hard to justify putting your entire business on hold, on vacation mode, or whatever. Spend the money to go to this thing if you're not completely convinced that you're going to get really good value out of it. So let me know what you think. Are you going to go? Are you not going to go? What's your thoughts? This is on the shipping side. We talked about over the winter. You may recall Canada Post was on strike, and I can't remember. I think it was in February, maybe. The Canadian government posted a back to work order and forced Canada Post strikers to go back to work. That order is about to expire. That expiration is on May 22nd, and a possible Canada Post strike later this month may affect USPS shipments. So be aware of that if you are someone who ships to, from, or within Canada. Things might get pretty sketchy again. Canada Post and the union, representing its delivery workers, are still trying to negotiate a new deal before the current agreement expires May 22nd. Workers may go on strike if they don't reach a deal with the carrier by that day, potentially, once again, bringing Canada Post operations to a standstill. Here's everything you need to know about a Canada Postal strike and how it will affect you. This was from Pirate Ship and from their announcement. As of May 8th, no services are currently suspended. All shipments are working like normal, and they will continue to monitor the situation and will update if either the Postal Service or UPS suspends any service to Canada. A strike at this point will only affect USPS shipments to Canada. Possible delays for shipments already in transit. So if you send a package to Canada through USPS that is currently in transit, there's a chance it's going to be held up if it hasn't been delivered by the time the strike occurs. So consider, as you get close to that date, you might even want to do it now, whether you want to continue to have Canada as a shipping option on your items. Because if something goes out with a estimated arrival date of 5/23 or 5/24 or somewhere beyond to the customer, and it doesn't arrive before these people go on strike, potentially, it may not arrive in what the site would consider an on-time fashion, which could potentially hurt some of your service metrics. So at least be cognizant of the fact that later this month there could be problems shipping things to Canada. Possible strike may cause delays for international shipments going to Canada since USPS partners with Canada Post. They suggest using UPS or simple export rate to ship to Canada in the meantime. With the potential strike, they recommend those services. A Canada Post strike won't affect UPS services or most simple export rate shipments, since these services use private networks for delivery and don't rely on Canada Post. My only caveat to that is, you may recall, when they were on strike back in the winter, those services were absolutely overwhelmed, and service times did extend. It was taking them longer because they had more packages. Many of the private carriers in Canada were charging surcharges to pick up. Many of them were putting caps on how much shipments you could send. So while these services are not directly affected because the items don't go through Canada Post, they could still be impacted because of the overload of shipments. They say protect your shipments with Insure Shield. Consider purchasing Insure Shield in times of uncertainty. We always recommend adding coverage through that program. It's a simple way to add extra peace of mind in case of unexpected delays and so on. And then there's a list of links to some of the various services that Pirate Ship at least offers. So just be aware of that. Whether you ship with Pirate Ship or not, there's a potential strike coming from Canada Post in what would that be? 2 weeks. So be aware of that. Speaking of shipping, UPS is raising rates among a $3.5 billion cost cutting. You may have seen headlines. UPS is announcing the layoff of, I believe, 20,000 workers due to some changes in their business. They're raising rates, posting the information on their website where it's stated, UPS rate updates help to support ongoing expansion and capability enhancements as we strive to maintain the high service levels you expect from UPS. That seems to run counter to the fact that they're laying off 20,000 people, but I digress. But the rate announcement comes amid that planned $3.5 billion cost reduction that includes those layoffs and some building closures. UPS called its initiative the largest network reconfiguration in its history. Does that sound familiar? With 164 operational closures expected in 2025. So this is no small number. to enable U.S. domestic operating margin expansion and increase profitability. There, at least that's honest. Yeah, this isn't to make it more efficient or to make it more effective. This is to improve their margins. So there you go. On a tangent, I don't think I have a link to this week, and I should have. But I think we talked about possibly last week, the nomination of a new Postmaster General for the United States Postal Service. My understanding that person is a board member at FedEx. I assume he will have to step down from the board. My understanding is he was confirmed on Friday. I've not seen any big pronouncements on whether he wants to continue the direction of the Postal Service and the Delivering for America plan that Louis DeJoy had put in place, or if he has his own ideas. Time will tell, but they have replaced the Postmaster General here in the U.S. Again, a bit of a digression, but felt like it was probably important. At the same time, Amazon announced they're expanding their rural delivery network, announcing on April 30th that it was investing over $4 billion with a focus on small towns across the United States. These two things, as you can imagine, are not disconnected. As Amazon continues to expand their own delivery service, they are relying less and less on UPS, who in turn is then, of course, cutting back because they just don't need those buildings, those networking stations, and those people, unfortunately, because those packages are being moved to Amazon proper. Interestingly, an eBay seller had asked in a Q&A feature during the seller check-in, eBay is striving to get the best prices possible for shipping. Will eBay ever partner with Amazon Shipping to be able to give cheaper prices in the US? Interestingly, again, I digress. We're at 45 minutes here and I'm not anywhere close to done. And I keep telling all these side stories. I ordered a shipment of boxes from a seller on eBay, and they were in fact delivered by Amazon. So I thought that was really interesting. That happened just last week. I ordered the boxes on Wednesday, I believe, and they were delivered by Amazon on Saturday. So eBay is in fact already using Amazon, or maybe not eBay proper, but at least some eBay sellers are using Amazon. The UPS rate changes will take effect on June 2nd and are outlined on a page that is linked in this article. They include things like a remote area surcharge to ground saver packages, changes to additional handling and large package surcharges, which is something we've also seen from the post office, things for zone 7 and higher, and an increase in the over maximum limit fees explained on a site called Refund Retriever, up to $1,775. UPS has said its cost reductions were expected to exceed the revenue loss from the reduction in Amazon business. So they're cutting more than they're losing, which will, again, as I mentioned, in theory, at least improve their profitability. They are maintaining heavy long distance deliveries for Amazon, but cutting back on lighter deliveries that travel short distances, which are less profitable. And to be fair, which Amazon is primarily doing them themselves. Supply Chain Drive reported this week on other UPS rate increases that took effect back on May 4th, stating that some businesses encountered a 40% rate increase that took effect, according to emails shippers shared with Supply Chain Drive. So let me know if you ship a lot on UPS. Did you see a big rate increase last week? And be aware, there's more coming at you in June. Yes, I do have this story. Here we go. I have so many here I couldn't remember. UPS names a new Postmaster General. They are going to raise rates as well. We've talked about that already, but Priority Mail, Ground Advantage, and more are also going up in July. We talked about a couple of weeks ago that what they call their market dominant services, which is like first class, and that we're going to be going up. They've now dropped the second hammer. The USPS Board of Governors has named new Postmaster General, confirming that the FedEx board member and ex-Waste Management CEO David Steiner will be taking over the position come July. So I won't rehash that, but again, be aware, for what it's worth, there's a new Postmaster General in town. Last bit of news this week. This was sent to me by my friend Annette over on Excess Baggage on Instagram. If you're not following her, especially if you are a posh seller or a handbag seller, fashion seller, you should go follow her immediately. She's fantastic. All my love to Annette. This was a link to a post from someone else. With tariffs driving up costs of new clothing, resale platforms are seeing a surge of new shoppers, according to data from marketing intelligence firm Sensor Tower, which found downloads of resale apps in the U.S. rose during the first quarter of 2025, which is no surprise. I've seen several articles and posts. Saw one actually this morning where a buyer said they had been shopping on Depop and had saved several items that they were interested in, but were not ready to purchase. And when they went back to look at those items, they found that they had all been sold, and that it appeared they'd all been sold at full price. There weren't even offers. If you're a Depop seller, let me know, are you seeing a big bump in your business? And are you seeing more people just making purchases rather than making offers? And of course, the dreaded effect of people making offers and then not completing their purchase. Depop, Vestair Collective, Poshmark, and eBay among those seeing the most significant growth. Resale has other tailwinds, like more consumers trending down and looking for deals after a long period of inflation. The anticipation again of the higher costs on new apparel from tariffs, sites like Temu and Shine raising their prices and so on, appears to be driving more interest in secondhand shopping. There's a chart here that's attached that shows downloads of resale apps in the U.S. grew in the first quarter of the year as the talk of tariffs, of course, ramped up. The big winner was Depop. Growth in downloads during Q1 compared to the previous quarter on Depop, 125%. Vestair Collective went up 50, Poshmark up 30, eBay, interestingly, up just 15. A lot of people have commented on this particular post saying, and this is obviously true, that younger shoppers, by and large, are ignoring eBay. They prefer Depop, they prefer Poshmark, they prefer some of these newer, perceived to be hipper sites. We talked in the in the opening of this particular episode about eBay's efforts to attract those people. A lot of the younger demographic feels like eBay is old school. It's like MySpace or Facebook. It's a place where their mom and dad go or their grandparents go. It's not a place where they want to go. They want to go to Depop. They want to go to these newer, cooler, more interesting, maybe more visually interesting sites to make their purchases. And that is clearly true. It's been borne out in study after study. It's clear anecdotally that that is the case. However, the other thing to bear in mind with these big numbers is that eBay, as an example, has already a much, much larger install base. There are many more downloads of this app that have already taken place. So their headroom for big growth is not anywhere near what it is for us, an app like Depop, which does not have anywhere near the user base that eBay does. So while there is obvious truth to the fact that eBay needs to do a better job of attracting the younger demographic, of attracting new buyers, these kind of stats don't really tell the whole story, because you've got, again, a much larger previous install base with a site like eBay or even Amazon than you would for a newer site like Depop. Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on any of that. I thought that was a really interesting article, and there are sometimes you got to think a little further into some of these things to understand what is fully going on. If you got something out of any of this news, let me know in the comments section down below. Now, I'm going to take another drink of coffee, and we're going to get into this What Sold segment. This is a pretty big one. I've got, I don't know what we've got here, 14 or 15 items that have sold over the last week or so. If you follow me again on Instagram at Galaxy CDs Rocks, I talked in my weekly recap on Saturday that it had not been a particularly busy week in terms of transaction volume. Dollar-wise, it was pretty good. I had some pretty nice sales over the last week, and that's what we're going to cover here. This first item sold over on eBay, The State in Theory and Practice by Harold J. Lasky. This is a first edition Viking Press hardcover from 1935. This was in really nice shape, was part of a big lot of about 650 books that I bought last fall, listed and sold for $20.99 plus shipping. I paid $4.25 in fees, $1.99 for the promoted listing fee, 38 cents cost of goods sold as part of that bulk buy. My net profit on this item was $14.37. This is an old book about governments and states, not states as in like the United States, but countries, the state that way. Interesting book from the 1930s. Another one from that same buy. This is The Art of Theatrical Makeup for Stage and Screen, written by Michael Westmore in 1973. Illustrated trade paperback, pretty good sized book, looking at makeup and costuming for stage and for movie production. Really interesting piece. I had it listed for $23.99. I am running again this month a 10% off sale on Etsy, and this sold over there for $21.59 plus shipping. $2.88 in fees. I'll take that. 38 cents cost of goods sold. My net profit on this old paperback, $18.33. Another religious book, as I talk about seemingly every week. I picked up a big lot of religious books that whoever this person was at this estate was a big fan of the Reverend Jimmy Swaggart. They had, I would hate to even think, dozens of books and audiobooks and just all kinds of stuff that were produced by the Jimmy Swaggart Ministries. This is the Holy Bible, King James Version, the Jimmy Swaggart Reference Edition, large print with concordance and red letter edition, brown leather bound in really, really nice shape. Picked it up for just 50 cents as part of that bulk buy. Had it listed for $25.99, received an offer of $22 plus shipping, which I went ahead and took. I paid $4.27 in fees, $2 in promoted listing fees. Again, the cost of goods sold, 50 cents. Net profit on this one, $15.23. I had talked about these books. It's been several months since I sold one. They were part of a big lot that I picked up for a couple of bucks a piece. These were books from like 1919 to 1921, published by a company for the Michelin Illustrated Guides to the Battlefields of World War I. This one is Verdun and the Battles for Its Possession. This was from 1919, if I'm not mistaken. Paperback with a dust jacket, interesting piece. Dust jacket had quite a bit of wear, minor damage, but these are just really hard to find books. Again, I paid $2 for it. This sold on eBay for $24.99 plus shipping, $4.85 in fees, $2.29 in promoted listing fees. $2 was the cost of goods sold, $15.85 profit on this old paperback. Another one on eBay. Interesting. Correlated Studies in Stenography by the Gregg Publishing Company, a hardcover from 1932. You probably wouldn't necessarily think that these old Gregg stenography and shorthand books would have a lot of value. Not all of them do. Some of them are pretty decent. This is one that was part of the big 15,000 book lot, so it was part of a bulk purchase anyway. But as I'm going through the boxes and researching it, this one ended up being worth $25, $24.99 plus shipping for this book from the 1930s. $4.87 in fees, $2.30 promoted listing fee, 4 whole cents cost of goods sold. Net profit on this one, $17.78. Couple of old records. I was at an estate sale. Man, this is probably 3 years ago. So here's another example of really old items that the listings are still active and these items are still selling. These are 2 4-record sets from the 1980s. The William B. Williams Make-Believe Ballroom set. This is volume 16, which was used, and volume 18, which was new and sealed. I picked up, I think, probably 24 or 25 of these box sets for $2 a piece. Like I said, it was probably 3 years ago. And they have sold here and there for reasonably good money. These two, one new, one used, sold for a combined total of $30.78 plus shipping. I paid $5.24 in fees, $3.01 again for a promoted listing fee. You're probably sensing a trend here again. A lot of promoted listing sales. Cost of goods sold, $4 total, $2 a piece. Net profit, $19.28. I know there are sellers who would say you shouldn't be sitting on items for 3 years to make $20, but these, again, these are bread and butter items for me. I talked on the show that I did with Mike and Mary last week about my business model was to build a large base, which I have 11,000 plus listings on eBay, of items that I thought would sell maybe not for huge tickets, but would sell consistently on a daily basis to generate not only cash flow, but profitability. And that I didn't necessarily mind if I had to wait a little bit of time or 3, 4 years for some of these to sell, because every day I'm selling something from those things. So I'm not one that is experiencing days and or weeks where I'm not making many, if any, sales. I have built my business around having a large quantity of not necessarily super high ticket items, but that generate consistent daily cash flow. And that's a business model that is working quite well for me. Here's a good one. This was free. This was part of a 300 odd free book pickup I did at the end of an estate sale. The Art of Japanese Flower Arrangement, Ikebana by Alfred Cohen from 1933. Illustrated hardcover, fair condition. The cover had some damage. The pages had some tanning. I had this listed, I think, for $37.99. I received an offer on eBay of $33 because it was free to me. That seemed like a more than fair deal, so I took that sale. $5.79 in fees, no promoted listing on this one. Thank you very much. Again, free, no cost of goods sold. Net profit on this, $27.21. I think I got a couple of sales on Mercari this week. I was talking to Brandon, Media Picker, and he made the comment that he hadn't sold anything on Mercari and that things were slow. And then all of a sudden, by having said that, he started selling things. I made the same comment last week that Mercari had been slow, and now I got a couple of nice hits. You just got to kind of manifest these things into existence, I guess. And an anchor for the future, a history of the Medical College of Wisconsin. This was an interesting, I think it was a maybe late 1990s, early 2000s book about the history of this medical school in Wisconsin. It was in fantastic condition. It was, again, part of a big lot of books that I owned for 38 cents. This sold over on Mercari for $37.80. It was one of the ones I've had long enough that it was probably priced at $42 or something like that. And when I ultimately discounted my prices to account for the buyer fee at one point back last year, it got marked down to this $37.80. When they made the change back to moving that 10% fee to the sellers, I did not go back and raise all my prices. So that's where the kind of weird $37.80 number came from. The buyer did not pay any shipping because I do free shipping on Mercari. I paid just $3.77 in fees. Again, my cost of goods sold, 38 cents. Net profit on this one, $26.77. Back over to Etsy. Just picked this up and sold it almost immediately. Jewelry Concepts and Technology by Oppie Untracked from 1985, a fourth printing illustrated hardcover published by Doubleday. This is one I talked about over the last couple of weeks that I got 3 offers to come in and do kind of estate buyouts. This was from the first one where I went and ultimately I did not make an offer on the entire estate, but I did cherry pick out not quite 50 books from that particular collection. This is one of those. I paid $2.36 for this as part of that bulk buy. It was 40 odd books, and I gave them $100, which they were thrilled with. This sold on Etsy for $38.69 plus shipping. Really big book, heavy book. Media rate shipping on this was $9.13, but I sent it out by Ground Advantage, so I only paid $7.73, so I made a little bit more money there. This did, however, sell through the offsite ad program at Etsy, so I paid $4.89 in fees, $7.17 in offsite ad fees. Net costs, total cost to me, $25.62. Net profit, $25.67. I've got a couple of these, actually. These were part of a big lot of books that I bought about electron microscopes and the technology behind them and the use of them probably 2 years ago. This is Electron Energy Loss Spectroscopy by Rick Brideson from 2006. I have 2 versions of this book. One from Taylor and Francis, which is this one that sold for $49.99. I have another one from a publisher in the UK, which I still have available. So there were 2 of these. Again, it was part of a big buy of these type of books that I did. I'm into this for 94 cents. It sold for $49.99 plus shipping, $8.64 in fees, $4.25 promoted listing. Again, 94 cents cost of goods sold, net profit 36.16. I talk about these textbooks all the time. This one isn't really, I say it isn't that old because I sell textbooks that go back into the 19 teens. 2006 was kind of a long time ago. It's coming up on a 20-year-old book, but still brought really, really good money. Another sale on Mercari. This was an interesting one. So I received an offer, which I don't often get on Mercari, but I received an offer for a bundle of 3 books. The offer was for $35 on these 3 books, which had a value, listed value on Mercari of like almost $70. And I was not inclined to do $35. I just did my normal 15% off from wherever I was priced on these 3 books individually and sent a counter offer of $52, which this buyer, to their credit, accepted. So this was 3, I think it was 2 cookbooks and then a random 3rd book in this bundle that ended up going for $52. Free shipping, their total with tax was $57.52. I paid $5.20 in fees, $7.63 to ship. My total cost of goods sold on these 3 books was $1. So I made $38.17 on this 3-book bundle over on Mercari. Yay, Mercari. Nice week over there. Like $90. It's better than the zero that it was the week before. Here's 2 more books from the estate buyout that I just mentioned. I'm into these again for $2.36 a piece. These were really interesting, and I really thought they would go for more money than this. I ran these at an auction starting at $79.99. The only comp I could find had sold for $99.99. They were in a little better shape, but nobody else had these. There were not really, I couldn't find anything other than that one sale. So I was hopeful that these would bid up. They did have multiple watchers, but ultimately only one bid at that $79.99. This is Guitar Making, a pre-publication teacher's edition, volumes 1 and 2 by Arthur E. Overholtzer from 1972. The book, Guitar Making, is a highly sought after trade paperback from the 1970s by this writer. They consistently sell anywhere from 35 to 50, $55. This was, as it says, a pre-publication edition aimed specifically at teachers. So it was a really unusual piece. And again, I was hopeful that it would go for more. It did go for a decent amount, considering I've got $4.72 in it. But I was hoping for a little better hit on this. $79.99 plus shipping, $12.98 in fees, $6.49 for the promoted listing fee, $6.13 to ship. I did ultimately pack these very carefully, so I did spend a little bit more money on the shipping. Cost of goods sold again, $4.72, net profit $55.05. 2 more books also from that same sale. I even talked to the people at the estate about the collection here. There was a lot of like really cheap books, like romance and old detective novels, but then there were a whole series of books on Unix programming and guitar making and Malaysian cooking. Tons of books on those 3 seemingly really random topics. And I did buy quite a few of them. This is another one I looked up. There were no current listings at the time I put these up. There was one sale for these 2 books that had sold for $99.99. I think they'd actually sold for $100. So I put mine up at $99.99 and sold them almost immediately. This is the Unix operating system source code, level 6, and a second book on that same topic called The Commentary by John Lyons. These were published by Bell Labs in the 1970s. They're that plastic comb-bound kind of technical manual that are all about this old Unix operating system. And I've sold a few things from that particular collection on this topic, and they've brought really, really good money. Again, these sold for $99.99 plus shipping. The order total $105.37. I paid $14.91 in fees, no promoted listing fee. My cost of goods sold again, $2.36 a piece, so $4.72. Net profit on these 2 books, $80.36. Really nice sale. 2 more, also from that same lot, again from the kind of the same collection. These 2 books sold. These went overseas actually. AT&T Bell Laboratories Technical Journal, October 1984, volume 63, number 8. I believe it was part 2. And again, this was specifically about the Unix system. And then the second book from 1993, Obfuscated C, easy for me to say, and Other Mysteries. This is about a programming language written by Don Libes, published by Wiley, John C. Wiley and Sons, I believe it is. Hardcover. These two books sold in total for $112.98 plus shipping. I think the buyer's total with shipping and duties and everything was just north of 200 American dollars on this sale. I paid $12.89 in fees, no ad fees. These did not sell through the promoted listing program. My cost of goods sold, again, same, $472. Net profit on these two books, $95.36. And that, my friends, is our flip of the week. Really, like I said, not a fantastic week in terms of transaction volume. It was right around 100, which normally I'm 110, 120-ish. eBay was pretty slow in the 60s. Etsy was really slow for me. I think there were only 3 sales on Etsy. All in all, though, not a terrible week because I had some pretty nice hits. And as you can see, there's some pretty hefty margins, which is at the end of the day what we're trying to accomplish, like UPS. Except I'm not cutting anything out. Anyway, that's going to put a wrap on a rather lengthy episode this week. I hope you got something out of it in the news or saw something in the What Sold that piqued your interest in terms of things you might be looking for in the future. If you did, please do me a favor if you're watching on YouTube and hit that thumbs up button. Again, let the YouTube algorithm know that this was a productive use of both your time and mine. If you're not currently a subscriber to the channel or a follower of the podcast, please consider doing that as well. Would love to have you on board. Again, if you did not catch the show that I did over on the Mike Metco Meetups channel, I will leave a link in the show notes in the video description down below. You can go check that out. Again, really nice chat. And again, thanks to Mike and Mary for both appearing on my show last month and for having me over on theirs. If you have a show or a podcast and would be interested in having me on as a guest, hey, give me a shout. You can message me on Instagram, DM me at GalaxyCDsRocks, or of course you can email me directly, galaxycds@gmail.com, which many of you often do, and I do appreciate that. I try to respond to every message and to most comments that warrant a response here on YouTube as well. As always, thank you so much for spending a fairly significant amount of your time this week. We're well over an hour, so I very much appreciate your participation and your viewership, and we will be back on Wednesday. I've got an interesting article that I stumbled on that we're going to talk about whether side hustles are necessarily worth doing. And we're going to take a look at some of the math and the accounting and whether or not at the end of the day, doing a side hustle is the most beneficial use of your time. It's not necessarily strictly reselling related, but there is a section of the article that we're going to talk about that does talk about reselling specifically. I thought it was a really fascinating article, so I'm going to cover that in some depth, and then we will discuss it at the Wednesday Live. I do have 2 Whatnot shows this week as well, Tuesday and Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Tuesday is vintage children's books, and Thursday is vintage religious books. With that, my friends, I'm going to close it for this week. Thank you again for coming out, and until next time, it's time to sell. You have been listening to the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you again next time.